Hello, today is June 17th, Friday, June 17th. In 2 days, we have the newest federal holiday coming up, which is Juneteenth. It's observed this year on Monday, the 20th, and it commemorates the emancipation of the enslaved African Americans. Though it's was first celebrated in the mid 1800s, it's still a mystery to many. So today, we're going to talk about Juneteenth, what it means, and also how it relates in real estate. So let's go.
Hey, 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 it's that time again. Talent Talk is in the house. John L. Scott is in the house. I feel like I'm rapping. Good day to you in the Northwest. I'm Davina Clarity. This is John L. Scott Talent Talk. We have an amazing day in store. Along with us is Jurgen Robinson. Woo. And we have a special, wait, I'm pointing my finger in the wrong direction. We have a special guest today with us, Margo Wheeler, amazing woman. We are talking about, thank you so much for joining us today. So backing it up, we are talking about the power of diversity and celebrating Juneteenth. And Margo, as I was just introducing you on with us, we're going to talk about the power of diversity. Margo is the past 2017 Washington Realtors president. Hello. And I want to say, you're the first Black president of Washington Realtors. Hello. Talk about power of diversity. And she leads diversity education and has created a ton of diversity education for the realtor community at large and for the real estate community at large. So we just want to welcome you on. You are a powerhouse woman, and just thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It is my pleasure to be here with you two, and I should be the one who's doing all the celebrating just to be here. And thank you so much for your kind words. When you've been around as long as I have, which is in the industry for 29 years, it's just a privilege to continue to be able to hopefully make a little bit of a difference and make some pathways for others. So thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. And Donna out in the ether sphere of the internet is saying, welcome, Margo, and good morning.
Good morning, Donna.
Yes. So, as we're talking about June, let's just lay it out, right? We're talking about June. So Juneteenth is it's a federal holiday, just the newest holiday in the books as of last year. Like, people are like, what is Juneteenth? And this has been a whole new thing. And it doesn't matter what color you are. People have said, what is Juneteenth, right? Let's talk about what Juneteenth really means. Like, what's the history of Juneteenth? Can we talk about that just a little bit going forward?
Yeah, we sure can.
Some more than others.
Yeah. In collaborating, do you guys know, want to welcome comments as well, about the holiday. Like, what do you know about it? What don't you know about it? What are your, just sharing just some of, just some comments out in our world, just to know we're absolutely on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we've got podcasts going. We have a few other platforms that we're broadcasting on as well. So we just love to hear from our audience and our listeners. So, what we do know about the Juneteenth celebration is that it is the actual, it's tied into the Emancipation Proclamation, like the freeing of the slave. So the emancipation of the abolishment of slavery, actually. And so this is something that, it's the Black or the African American Independence Day, basically. There's other names that it's been called, I want to say, like Jubilee Day. So LaToy, is sharing here. Go ahead, Jurgen.
Yeah, it's related to the emancipation of slavery in the 1800s, which many enslaved humans did not know until 1865.
Yep.
Yeah, this is it's so interesting, as we're learning more about Juneteenth, because enslaved folks were actually emancipated in 1863, and in Galveston, Texas, until 1865, until this time in 1865 in June, the individuals who were still there were still slaves, and then they were emancipated 2.5 years later. And so it was a big celebration, and it still is, and certainly in Texas and now around the country. So it is so interesting when you delve into the history of this holiday.
Right. And
You
in
know,
this whole,
oh,
oh, go ahead.
well, actually, I think it was going to lead into what you're saying. And I think both of you have kind of interesting perspectives on this. That it is the abolishment, the emancipation of slavery, and then just culturally. I mean, being the newest federal holiday, it's such a big thing, and then such an unknown thing for such a long time. And both of you had very different experiences growing up, and what Juneteenth was or meant within your own community, or did not, because kind of little unknown. So, Margo, on your side, I mean, Juneteenth, as prominent as it is now, when you were growing up, what did you know about Juneteenth?
When I was growing up, I knew nothing about Juneteenth. And that's the interesting side note about this. Many African American, many blacks didn't know about Juneteenth. When I grew up, I lived in Philadelphia and on the East Coast. And so, and in the North. So this was not a holiday we celebrated until I became an adult. I had never really heard about Juneteenth. Whereas on the other hand, Davina had a different experience with that, right?
I did. So when, just in recent years, obviously last year was the big conversation about Juneteenth. It was familiar to me, because, and I hadn't, what's interesting is the Juneteenth celebrations and things, they hadn't been on the radar as much in my adult life. But when I was growing up, Juneteenth was a normal thing. We talked about the Juneteenth celebrations. There were parades. There were events that were going on, especially in like the African American or the Black History museums would talk about Juneteenth. We actually had conversations at school. There were assembly. There were things that were going on in the communities at large in our neighborhoods that actually talked about Juneteenth. And, although, there are different ways that people celebrate Juneteenth, from, the picnics and from reenactments and things as such. We didn't particularly do the picnic, but there were picnics at parks and celebrations that were going on in the communities. And so it was like, oh, wow, I remember that, but again, over the years, just it seemed like, I grew up in Los Angeles, and I grew up in a Black community in
And
LA, and
and that's why I was just going to ask that about,
yeah,
where did you both
so
grow up?
yes, right. We were in South Central, so it was and a lot of people transplanted from the South too. I want to say, so my parents are from the South. A lot of people were from the South, and so maybe that might have a tie-in as well to Margo talking about the South Side.
Yeah. And where did you grow up, Margo?
I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and again, in a Black community. And, even then, you had segregated communities where different ethnicities lived. And so I lived in South Philly. And so, but many of my friends knew about Juneteenth when I was in the military, and also once I became a realtor, and I know so many folks around the country. But we didn't have a celebration for it. We didn't understand what it was about. And it's just really enriching to find out all the history that went into this celebration and this commemoration for this emancipation. Yeah.
Yeah. Love the interaction. Latoya is out there, and I grew up in Michigan and didn't know much about it until I was a teenager. So also in the North, but Midwest, attending school in Atlanta helped me really connect with the holiday more. And like Davina was mentioning, and I think you were saying as well, kind of that Southern connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know what's really interesting is, and not even realizing how, in our history, how some things were kind of like, I don't even say erased. Some things were erased, but some things were just not really clear. And, the Civil War is a big deal, right? We look in our history books and we see the Civil War, and like the Civil War was fought, the main sort because of the Civil Wars, it was about slavery and the North versus the South. And this is like a huge thing that happened with the MS. And then it's like, what happened to the celebrations? We celebrate, we have Independence Day, July 4th, where we celebrate. And then there was a reason for, we just kind of missed this part, and so it's kind of nice to actually have another reason to celebrate. And there was a war that was won, right? And there's a celebration behind it. And it wasn't just one for just the slaves. It was one. It was one for the country, So so anyway, I think this is really cool that we get to do this. Well, there's a trivia question, but I think we already know the answer to the trivia question. So like
only if you've been paying attention.
I know, yeah, right. Let's bring that trivia question up really quickly, and you can probably guess or know the answer if you've been listening. Yeah, as Jurgen said, you probably know the answer. So, you want to read our trivia question for us, Margo?
Sure. Spoiler alert right here.
Right.
But the Emancipation Proclamation was made on what date?
January 1st, which is A, January 1st, 1863, B, June 18th, 1865, C, September 22nd, 1862, or D, April 9th, 1865. Leave your answers and comments down below.
Yeah. I don't even think you even need to have been listening to know the answer, right? But
And Josh wants to say, yay, Margo Wheeler. Yay. Happy to have you here. And then also, Latoya just said, it's a part of American history that we should all, and that's very true, we should all be proud of, because it is progress. And it had been a long overdue recognition.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And,
well,
I was just going to say, I agree with that. And I think also it is an opportunity because so many people do not know about it. Yes, we have a holiday now, but what's behind the holiday? And we as practitioners have an opportunity to educate individuals who have no clue about what Juneteenth is. Whether we're talking to agents or brokers in our offices or our clients, and certainly our kids who may not know about it. So, because you're right, Davina, you didn't hear about it in school unless you were in certain areas. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So want to actually, as we're talking about the Juneteenth celebrations, this really is a big tie into the power of diversity, and also just talking about what we're doing and what is going on, even within our real estate world today. And Margo, you have really done a huge amount of work in this area, and in being a leader that you are. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your personal experiences have been in just creating, the need first was there, and then just actually what you've been seeing and what you've been doing just as of lately within the industry for diversity?
Well, thank you so much for asking that question. When you think about diversity, certainly at this point in time, I think about it in the respect of not only education, of us making sure that we in the industry are creating comfort, reaching out, making sure that we're complying and embracing the fair housing laws, so that everyone that we come in contact with, certainly, especially, when we're talking about people who may have been marginalized or who may be underserved or unserved, and certainly people of color, then we have to keep in mind that um, NAR has been for decades looking at ways that we can reach out and connect with individuals who may not look like you or I or Jurgen. So the key is education. And so education, when you think about education for the National Association of Realtors, there are a number of different endeavors and initiatives. And I'm sure Davina, you and Jurgen can talk about John L. Scott and Lennox. But for NAR, they're looking at diversity from a number of different perspectives. One perspective is from how we treat our clients, how we welcome our clients, how we reach out and connect with multicultural clients. Also, how we can make sure that we're gaining the skills that create comfort, build relationships, build bridges for individuals, and along with that, have a leadership path so that we can see representation of our members that reflect our communities. And that's an ongoing endeavor at every level, from our local associations to our state association to the National Association of Realtors. So it's an ongoing initiative. We have a number of different tools we're using, and there are a number of groups that are still looking at how we can reach out and connect, even bring more individuals into our industry from diverse backgrounds. So there are a lot of irons in the fire, I like to say, when it comes to diversity and how we can reach out and connect with individuals. I think the importance of this is the fact that when I started early on and I went into a room, then I didn't see anyone who looked like me when it was whether it was a training or leadership or conversation. And so that was the goal, to over time change that. And I have to say that it's getting so much better. There are so many young, dynamic individuals who are involved in the industry, which is so encouraging even to me and inspiring to me. So, hopefully I answered a little bit of your question, because once we start talking about diversity, I can go on and on and on. So there you go.
Margo, I know today your time's a little more limited and you're going to have to go in a little bit, but we were talking last night. It was such a phenomenal conversation to just explore. And you have such great insight on different things. And when you were mentioning about stepping into roles, being kind of an individual when everybody looked kind of different when you would walk in rooms, and you actually put it upon yourself to step into leadership roles, to actively seek them out. But in addition to that, being a leader isn't just stepping out in front, but it's helping to bring other people along. And that seems to be a role that you're stepping into more. Like, what does that mean to you as a leader, of not just being in the front, but sometimes pulling some people along?
Yeah, it's well, first of all, I have to say that sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need someone to pull us along. For me, before I thought I was a leader, someone saw something in me and encouraged me, and also mentored me, And so now I feel as though when I see individuals that have that potential too, but they just don't, sometimes we think we're too busy. Sometimes there's other reasons that we don't step forward. But, we have so many dynamic individuals like Davina and, and even in my office, Narva, that Narva Walton, who are phenomenal individuals. So, I think for me, the reason that it's so important for me to pull other people, to walk along with other people, to be a resource, a mentor to others, is because I saw that. And that's the reason I'm here 29 years later, because I saw someone who reflected what I wanted to see in our industry. And so now I hope I can do the same thing. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Narva, you have been, and I said Narva, Margo. You said
That's
Narva.
okay. That's a compliment.
Right? Wonderful woman too, right? But I want to say, I want to say thank you, because years ago, pre-COVID, like I've known about you for years, and I've got to know you a little bit better, like having some conversation with you over the last few years, I want to say. And before COVID, I want to say it was a few years ago, we sat down and
Mhm.
we had coffee,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, I just want to have, I just want to get in her space because you just because of who you are and what I knew of you, I just wanted to have a personal connection with you. And I just want to thank you for that because the power of relationships and connections, and you just don't know how you're encouraging someone when you're just giving them your time and your attention. And I gleaned so much from you as we were talking and you were telling me about the things that you were doing. And I'm like, wow, how does she have time? Like she's doing real estate and she's leading this and doing that. And I'm like, how do you have the time to do all of these things? And I just was really encouraged by your passion and the joy and the intensity that you have with the things that really matter to you. And I think that we all need to just really find our passion and and we also need to reach out to people that are doing the things that we feel we need a little bit of encouragement in to get that extra lean into the life that God's put us on the earth to live, and we can't just sit back and watch things go by. We have to get involved, and that's for everybody because everybody is a leader. Like I feel like there's something in us that is has a leadership quality, and that someone is watching, and we always have
And
that. So
yeah,
That
and
is so
Davina,
true.
I know Margot's got to go here, and one thing that struck me of what you said, and I think is really resonates, is Margot, you're just very genuine. Like when you're really genuine to who you are and the way you feel, it really resonates out, and that's really attractive. That there, it knowing that you have to go. Is there kind of for today anything you want to kind of leave as a last word or kind of an impression about Juneteenth and kind of what all of this means to you as not only a realtor but as an African American woman or just as a person in general?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. And again, thank you for inviting me here. I wish I could stay a lot longer, but I am I am just grateful to have had a chance to talk. So the one thing I wanted to say is I just want to echo what Davina just said. Everyone is a leader, whether it's a leader in your household, in your place of worship, or wherever. It is not about position. It is not about position. And sometimes you just need that person to encourage you. And for Juneteenth, I think we all just need to do our own research, find out more about the holiday, and then share what we find out because it's so interesting. So I am grateful. It is a privilege to be here. And I have to say one more thing, and that's this. You mentioned about relationships and reaching out. And that is why I will have an opportunity to serve on NAR's leadership team next year because of relationships. It is about being able to speak up and being able to be passionate about the areas that you think are important. And so, thank you again.
Thank
Make it
you.
a great weekend. Enjoy Juneteenth. And
yes.
I'll see you
Thank
next
you,
time.
Margot. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
serving and being who you are. And we're looking forward to catching up again.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Oh, and Donna just wanted to give a little bit, and Davey, and I think that reflects in on what I was saying about Margot about being really genuine. I think you do reflect that. And Donna says you're an amazing leader
Aw,
as well. You're so inspirational to our brokers and staff and me. So we appreciate you. And
aw.
Donna was also saying thank you to Margot for coming on.
Yes. Wow. That was so good. Margot has, when we were not practicing, when we were having our conversations earlier, we knew Margot she literally has a realtor leadership meeting that she has to hop into. And so we started a little bit earlier today. And we said, okay, Margot, we're going to let you go and then we'll just talk about you after you're gone. And I feel like we really, it's easy to talk about her after she's gone, like in a good way. And wow, like just the things that the power, we talk about the power of diversity. We talk about, celebrating Juneteenth in this episode, but I really think we also should just make sure remember the power of our relationships and the power of our words and the power that encouragement can have on someone, and the trajectory of their life is huge. And it's not about us. Like when we're going into conversations and we're saying, oh, I don't want to do this because I don't have the time, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough. It's not about you. We need to get the I out of our conversations and think about how we can affect the we. And I thought that was just really good. So,
Yeah. And you know what else? I went back, and occasionally I like to see how we're doing and some of the things we talk about. And last week, like every week, we talk about something. So encourage you, go check out some of the other episodes. But last week we were talking about Pride Month, and we talked about when Pride Month started, it was originating, and it was in the 60s, right? And there was so much going on in the 60s. And what it also, we didn't talk about it at that moment, but a thought that struck me at that time is that was the big time for civil rights movements, right? There was so much going on and so much recognition of not of kind of the Black experience in here, but it radiated out from there. When that attention gets focused in on the marginalized or the minority, others also get raised up in that conversation. So even though what happened with kind of the attention that was brought with Black Lives Matters with George Floyd, what also happened is it encapsulated this whole DEI movement. So even with Juneteenth, it is celebrating this, but we also it brings such a good eye to a lot of marginalized things, because when we open up our mind to one, or our attention or understanding to one, it really opens up our attention all around. So I actually really like that maybe Juneteenth is this, and it is very special, and it is there is a reason to honor it, but it also radiates from there to help look at all the other marginalized populations that are out there.
mhm.
What do you think of that?
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. And I think one of the things that has happened is, we've, diversity has been, the conversation about diversity has been ongoing. The DEI conversation has been more emphasized in the last couple of years. And I think that what this is really, it's really good that we're having the conversation, and
Mhm.
it's uncomfortable conversations that we're having. And everybody is having the conversations. And I think that's where it all starts. And that's where we all get better, is when we ask questions, and we ask questions of ourselves, like, because it's easy to say, I don't have any problems. I love everybody, but we all have bias. We all know that there are stereotypes, and there actually is discrimination, and it can be discrimination that has just been just hiding and not even aware. So just opening up our eyes. We've been walking around with blinders on, and our eyes, foggy for decades, years and years, and then finally the lenses are starting to clear up. And so, can't make change until you can see.
I'm
So,
glad you said that, because when we relate all this back into real estate, there was a movement, and there was a lot of misunderstanding. Like it seemed like the things that were going on, this doesn't exist, or for a large part of the population, I didn't know how deeply it ran through here. But after you get past the initial shock of, oh my gosh, is this really real? To, okay, there are things going on. And then you start to open your heart to understanding the realtors and what has been going on there. It- Even though equal housing has been it's been a part of it for such a long time, because there was a role that even real estate and realtors have played within keeping marginalized populations down, such an understanding, but they really doubled down on the focus of how to open things up. So one of the first things we saw was a test on implied bias, and then this thing on Fairhaven. And what they do is they go through a series of questions and some understanding, and ask questions in situations. How would you handle this? And even though, I feel like a very open, like you were saying, you feel like you are very open and that I am a very accepting person. But until you are open to the fact that you're not perfect and you can still grow, and then you take a test and that goes over different situations and how you might respond, and to understand that you may have some implied biases here or there. First, you have to be open that I can still grow. And
Mhm.
second, want to take that and go, okay, maybe I should look a little deeper into that. So that was a bit eye opening for me to understand that, well, okay, I can grow in this. Even though I feel like I'm a pretty open and accepting person, I've still got some growth to do.
Yeah.
What about you?
I feel exactly the same way, and we're doing some testing with some additional classes that are going to end up being rolled out to leadership. And um, wow, like just at learning and growing and living, and it really is amazing how when you think you got it together and you start taking some tests and you're like, wow, I really need to work on how I see, because we just don't know, because the vision that we use is the vision that we grow up with, and from our experiences, and from just how we get in things input into our brain. And it's not necessarily bad information, it's just not the best information. And one of the things that I learned just recently is that we make assumptions because we don't have enough time to have conversations. And I'm like, wow, I
It's always so long.
wow, wow, right? We have to process quickly. So in processing quickly, we miss most of the information that we need to actually make fair judgments and decisions. And and we make these quick assumptions. So anyway, not getting all into that, but it's I would just say, everyone, make take a chance, or take a chance, take the opportunity to learn and grow. Take a diversity course. I mean, you might think, "No, I don't need it," but believe me, you need it, and you'll be better after you take it. One of the things that the National Association of Realtors and Washington Association of Realtors and our local chapters have done is, the Realtor Association has required education for realtors. And so when you talk about what's a realtor and what's an agent, there's a difference. Realtors are required and to take certain education to actually help us be better in serving the communities that we serve. Go ahead.
Yeah. And Latoya was just going to say, excellent point about assumptions, Davina. And, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's kind of how stereotypes have proliferated, because we can't process everything and we have to make some level of assumptions, but we also have to be really careful about the assumptions that we make. We can't function without making some level of assumptions, or we would never make any steps, or we would never take any action at all. But again, we really have to be careful about what we do. And then the one point I wanted to say was, you were talking about realtors, and also even with the Washington State Legislature, there's going to be mandatory DEI training that is going to be coming forward, even to be licensed, because it is really that important of an issue. But even outside of there, you build on top of. So there's a base level that you have to achieve within the state to get your license. There's another part to be a member of the realtors. But you just recently have joined in on an internal group within John L. Scott of how to really focus in. And I think that test you're talking about might be a little bit on that. But what is John L. Scott doing even above and beyond to help bring diversity, equity, inclusion to the forefront?
Yeah, well, Lennox Scott, who is our CEO, he is the grandson of John L. Scott, extremely involved in the DEI conversation, and actually leading in a lot of different areas. This is John L. Scott even won some recognition for being leaders in the DEI areas. So John L. Scott, I want to give you a website. It's jls4diversity.com. If you pull that up, this is just literally a tip of the iceberg of the things that John L. Scott, as a corporate group, is doing within our communities. But one of the things I want to say is, scholarships. So here's the thing: we talk about equity, right? Now, being equal and treating everyone equal is one thing, but providing equality or making things equitable for everyone is different. And if you've got some three people at three different heights and you give them the same stool to stand on, there still is going to be a deficiency in that height. It's about giving everyone the amount of height they need so that they can be on the same playing level, so that they can have access to the same things, so that they can participate in the same things. So, people of color have, there's been, economical, the disparity is great, and that's part of the reason why we don't see people of color in certain areas. And so what John L. Scott is doing is helping with the education, helping to get the feet, the boost, so that people of color can participate on the same levels as the whole playing field. So I just think that it's just an amazing platform that John L. Scott has. And so there are scholarships that have already been given out to universities. I want to say, believe there's a University of Washington. There's the working currently in Oregon. So I mean, like, this is a big thing. Also, there's education for leadership that's going on. There's a lot of different things that are happening. So just know that John L. Scott is pioneering a lot of the DEI conversations that are happening that actually will trickle down throughout the entire nation, because Linux serves on these national boards.
And the whole leadership team really has grabbed a hold of the mission. And Dave, when you mentioned about the scholarships and the importance, one of the things that stood out to me, and it also stood out to me about Margo and being the first Black Washington Association of Realtors president, is that whole representation. So I believe one of the reasons for the scholarship is minority students who have a minority teacher graduate at a significantly higher rate than minority students who don't have any minority teachers, that don't see them in, say, in positions of power or leadership. And when you mentioned about barriers, I think that's one of the things. It's hard to, as say a minority class, see yourself in a leadership position if you've never seen anybody else in leadership positions. So by helping to raise some people up and open up those doors, all of a sudden the folks that are following up behind can actually aspire to more because they've seen it done. And it's not a glass ceiling. It's not an impossibility. It may take a level of work, but at least the opportunity is available. And when we were talking with Margo last night, one of the things I loved is it wasn't fighting for something to be given, but it was just like when she was doing things, all she was looking for was the equal opportunity, like equal opportunity housing. It's just the equal opportunity. And nothing is being asked to be given to anybody other than an equal footing to compete or to be able to rise. So, I liked what you're saying there. And I definitely feel like being that representation, being able to see people that are like you in new positions is so incredibly empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on our way as a group. We're all in this together, right? And so I just love that we get the opportunity to have these conversations.
And with Juneteenth, there are a lot of Juneteenth things going on. And again, the celebration day, it is June 19th, but it is going to be publicly or federally recognized for June 20th this year, the day after. And Josh, for in Olympia, there are some Juneteenth celebrations in Olympia this weekend. You can go to facebook.com events, and then you can read the numbers that are on the screen, but it will take you over to there. And then Jeff had, I feel like I'm in a staff meeting at school. It's awesome to know these conversations and content are a part of the industry too. And they deserve to be. They haven't always been, and they are uncomfortable conversations. And it's incredible that we actually have the opportunity to talk about it, and that people who have not been heard are here having their voices heard. And Pat, loved meeting Margo, and her presentation was awesome. She's an incredible woman.
Yeah, she is. She actually spoke to the Thurston County Association of Realtors last week, or was that this week? Was that last week or this week? I'm losing track of time. So, and her presentation was amazing as well, and just be involved. Just get involved. Whatever you do, just get involved with something. That's the word of the day. Um, Speaking of that, we're going to kind of shift off a little bit. As Pat mentioned, presentation. We actually have I don't say a presentation, but we have an award that we want to
Yeah.
give. But actually, you know what? Actually, before that, the answer to our trivia question.
Oh, wait, hold on, Christy.
Go on, Christy, pull it back. Our trivia question answer. It was the Emancipation Proclamation was made on what date? Okay, you guys, come on. A, B, C, or D. Throw it in the chat. We're going to answer this right now. Come on, throw it out there. A, B, C, or D.
Yeah,
Come
and
on.
Davina, while we
Yeah.
wait for a couple answers, we're going to do a little wheel spin coming up in a sec. And what that is regarding is I think there is a good relevance to what we're talking about, because you had the opportunity and the pleasure, Pat is answering A, Latoya is answering A, to actually meet with new people who are just graduating from real estate school. You were out there with Pat and some of our brokers, Josh and Victor and Serena,
And
and
Jen.
just this is the next generation of realtors that are coming up, and these conversations are really important, and the recognition is so incredible. What was that to you? And I'll just flash a couple answers before we get to the answers.
Yeah, I wish I had Pat here. Pat, if you want to chime in, I know you're here. If you want to chime in on that, it was great. So one of the school that we partner with is called the Rockwell Institute, and we actually are as a approved satellite location. Put students through Rockwell all the time, and it's we're satellite and online. We call it satellite schooling, and so we had an opportunity to be at a career fair yesterday where the class released and the online students and the in-person students had an ability to actually talk to real estate professionals. And so we had our group, yes, Josh, Victor, Jen, Serena, Pat was leading, and we set up a table, and wow, the questions and the engagement that we all were able to have with these people that are just like really getting ready to get their license. Like they haven't even tested it. They haven't finished the course yet. And now here we are, we get to plant these seeds of encouragement for them. And so it was really, really amazing. A lot of great connections were made. I think it was really great for our group that was there. Josh, you're on here. I don't know if you want to chime in on how it was for you, and also so we at the event, Pat,
Pat
go ahead.
said it was an amazing opportunity to network with those to soon be new brokers. They were highly intelligent and driven. And Dave, just before you go there, I was just wanting to give everybody a chance to answer. Maybe you want to continue right after we give the answer?
Yep, let's do that. Let's go on over to our answers.
So we have all A's. Pat
All
is A. Latoya
A's.
is A. Jeff is A. Donna is A. What do you think the answer is? Christy?
Christy's like, I don't know. The answer is
A?
A.
No.
Well, the
Yes.
answer, yes, it
Yes,
is A. It is A. So the Emancipation Proclamation actually was already signed, but of course the slaves weren't all freed until a couple of years later. So
Yeah. Very
all
good.
right.
Okay, so that is June, kind of wrapping in Juneteenth. It is an important conversation. So glad, Davina. I'm glad that you had an opportunity to, give you a little of your experience, Margo, as well. Hers is great, and you guys had seen it from two different sides, and everybody has got their own experience and perspective. And believe it or not, they all matter. It's another voice, and a course is made up of voices, and we all sound better together. So, with that in mind, though, going back to, we actually have a spin that's coming up, and you were out there and you were just talking about that next generation that's coming up and how exciting it is to hear them and actually be able to give something to them as well as they're getting ready to embark on this journey.
Yeah, just for stopping by our area and getting information and connecting with us. Um, some people signed up to win a gift card. So,
Oh, and
um,
here's that. Did we actually read that? It was an
we read
amazing
that.
opportunity to network with those soon-to-be new brokers,
We read
and they
that
were
already.
highly intelligent and driven. There we go.
But
Thank
it
you.
takes two, right? Why not? One more time, Jurgen. Want to read it one more time? So we can bring up the wheel. We have some names, and this is for a gift card for $100 for Amazon. What are you ready to spin? We're ready to spin. Okay, Christy's like, okay, let's get this
It's a
going. So
thumbs
let's
up.
see who our winner is.
The wheel on the wheel goes round and round, round and round. Ooh,
Ooh. Okay, is it
what
going to
is
stop?
that name?
Nia Bowen.
Hey, congratulations, Nia.
Congratulations, Nia. We are going to call you since we have your phone number and also your email, and we will get connected with you on getting that gift card in your hand. So congratulations and congratulations and good luck on your journey into real estate. So, all
It's
right.
incredible.
It is incredible. That's incredible. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Any final thoughts for the day, Jurgen?
For me?
We got stuff going on. Check us out on our website, Facebook, right?
At any of our DuPont, Olympia, Tumwater, what did I
Lacey.
miss? Lacey site. And, we always have our events page. I also wanted to say, Jen, I apologize. I missed you on when I was saying who is at the event. You're absolutely as important as everybody else that was there. And for me, it is just about the conversation. It's great that we're finally having it. The biggest thing for me has been to make sure that I stay open, that I always have something to learn. I think I always try to walk in that light that I'm not perfect. I'm not wholly formed. And, the best thing about living this life is the opportunity to make progress or to learn more or be open to more experiences. And this has really challenged me in some ways to do it even better. And I am a better person for it.
Yeah. And Jurgen, thank you. Thank you for being the friend and the business partner that you are. You help make me better too. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I think this has been a big thing as we've had conversation and had conversation all around. And even within my family, my wife is great in terms she's better than I am in some things. And then also within watching our children, our oldest is having an experience that is different, but is requiring a lot of understanding and me being very open that this experience is not mine, but that I really need to be open. And then again, to so many people that are in my sphere, you and so many others included, that I always need to be a better person and be so open to understanding. So again, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that helps me be a better person.
All right. And this also, we go out with a big, be bold, and being better is being bold, right? So I will go ahead and count us down on 3.
3, 2, 1. Be bold,
Be
everyone.
bold.
All right. Have a great weekend. Happy
Bye, you guys.
Juneteenth.
Yes.